Welcome back, guys. Finally back with another talk. I've been sick for the past few days, so I haven't really had the energy nor the voice to record anything. But we're finally back. And today was a big day. Just like every other day, I get to practice this lift, the overhead press. I actually did some squatting too, but I really want to highlight the overhead press in today's segment. And oh boy, what an exercise. One, or if not the best exercises out there, I'm telling you. This exercise is being dug under the sand and not at all being used in the content that it would need, if you ask me. But then again, this is just my opinion, and what I'm telling you here is, just like in any other episode, is my and only my opinion. So it doesn't have to be implemented by you. Just my reflection of it. I want to start off by saying why you should and maybe shouldn't do the overhead press. Now, you may be thinking, but you said it's one of the best exercises, so why shouldn't we do it? Let me explain. Yes, I do praise this exercise. I really do. But this is because it's been the one thing that has worked for me since day one, really. Worked for me. This isn't for everyone. Just like any other exercise, some are stronger and more effective in different lifts due to mobility, anatomical structure, biomechanical factors, and genetics. And you should always strive to do what works for you as much as possible, correct? You can always better and work on some of these aspects to improve your lifts. Let's say mobility, strength, stability, and factors like these are not inevitable. You can improve mobility by stretching or doing exercises for the mobility, but you can't change your genetics or how you're built anatomically, can you? If you ask me, the barbell overhead press is a phenomenal exercise due to many reasons. One of them being it's a basic multi-joint barbell movement that allows for a good deal of overload, and it goes through an extraordinary range of motion. I mean, almost 180 degrees of shoulder flexion depending on how you execute it. And when it comes to building muscle, the one thing we really want and need is just that range of motion. And doing what works best for you isn't just important in this matter when it comes to a certain exercise. This applies to everything. To determine your grip width in the bench, your setup in the squat, or anything really when it comes to preparing and executing a lift depending on your own circumstances. Take a sport like disc golf, boxing, or soccer even. You don't see the same form, technique, or aspects that displays a unique performance in these sports by each and every pro athlete. You don't. There are some that lays within similar techniques, but the majority of these individuals in these areas got their own style, their own adaptations of a certain style. Just because people like Eagle McMahon has their own way of throwing a disc, or athletes like Messi and Ronaldo has their own way of playing soccer, doesn't mean everyone's doing it just because they're successful at it. Doesn't work like that. You have to find your own style. Same goes with lifting weights. Find your own stance. Find your go-to exercise within your own capacities. And when you do, abuse it. Abuse it, really. This is, always has been, and will always be the overhead press for me. Of course, find your own style within the right foundations, of course, but it all depends on what you want to achieve too. I mean, a powerlifter isn't as beneficial of the overhead press just because it isn't a competition element, But I still think it has a great carryover for the bench and overall stability and strength in your upper extremities. So the overhead press isn't the one for everyone. With that being said, I still want to highlight the value of it. Whether you lack development in the shoulders or just want to get better at vertical pressing, strict overhead press is so valuable. It really is. There are also many great variations to the ordinary OHP, such as the Z press, push press, and substitute lifts like the incline or French press. More specific about these movements in another episode. But back to the OHP. This movement is being hidden and forgotten. Why? Because it's hard. I'm not talking about it's hard and exhausting to do, like the barbell back squat, it's that too, but rather than I'm talking about technical difficulties. Many tend to under prioritize this movement because it's so hard to master. I get it. I mean, it's so much more than just pressing a weight over your head. It takes a lot of engagement and activation of the core, the glutes, the lats, the whole body really, before and during the execution of the lift to really perfect it and get the most out of it. This is what I mean. In the early years of my overhead press experiences, I tended to just press the barbell, But just like every exercise out there, especially compound lifts, you need to tighten up and really maintain that activation of core, tightness throughout your whole body, and push through. I'm gonna talk about this in a sec, and because you're pressing in a straight line over and behind your head, it takes great stability, balance, and mobility in your upper back, neck, and shoulders. I've been doing it for years and still isn't close to the optimal technique and execution. Really isn't. It's so much more than a press. As mentioned, you use your shoulders, upper back, triceps, core, legs, the whole body really. This is what people forget, that just because it's a shoulder vertical press movement, it uses so much more than just the shoulders. I can press a weight like 60, 70 kg without tightening my core and use muscle groups like my legs, glutes, but it's so much more effective and optimal when you activate these muscle groups because of one thing: tightness. This is what you always should strive for in any lift. You won't get anywhere by being a loose spaghetti. This is also a segment for another episode, but I want to highlight this really. You could just grab the bar and press it above your head, but to really optimize and stabilize this, like any other compound lift, you need to tighten up, tuck and tighten your lats, squeeze your glutes, grip the bar tight, creating an overall tight and secure pressing position. You will notice so much more performance and therefore improvement in your long-term gains. Back to the dilemma of the overhead press in a powerlifting block. I'm aiming to compete in powerlifting myself, so this dilemma for me is always relative, but like I said, it works for me. I believe it has, and still is helping my bench a lot, even at periods when I'm not benching as often. It's not only the fact that any movement with a heavier mass or weight over your own head is quite exciting, if you will. It will also benefit so much more than just your shoulders. I mean, stability, posture, balance is also being put on the table here. And come on, if I can bring my overhead press up to 100, even 110 kg, don't look at me and say that my bench won't go up as well. That just won't happen. That's also what I want to experiment with a little bit during this overhead press and squat program I'm doing right now. But I do believe in balance. I really do. Even when I'm now gonna focus a lot, and I mean a lot, on OHP, I still want that balance by bench pressing, doing weighted dips, squats, deads, you name it. You still need balance. But hey, that's it for today's talk. I really appreciated you guys listening and watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.